appreciate you, Evangelist Hawkins. I appreciate that, man. God bless you. Truly happy and so honored to be here. I'm going to get me a little clock going because I don't know if you've been around a command sergeant major before, but we can talk. I think that's one of the prerequisites that our old Army had for us, is that we got to be able to stand up and run our mouth. And, you know, ain't always a good thing. Yeah. I am truly honored to be here. I chomped at the bit when I got the call from your bishop asking could I come and share with these ladies that he holds near and dear to his heart. And if you don't mind and you don't think it robbery, I would like to take a moment to love on Bishop Vernon and Lady Thomas. Thank you so much. I don't know if the mayor has made it here yet or not, but salutations to her as well, and that accomplishment at such a young age. We all should be proud of what she's done here in the city. To all the clergy in your respective places, I'm excited and honored to be here. I'll tell you, got a chance to spend a little time at breakfast this morning with First Lady, and I'm hoping she's going to be an influence on my wife. This thing we got going is new, y'all, so I got a chance to be around her. I'm hoping some things, because I sense true love at a First Lady, and I'm just, you know, we're trying to hold this thing in the road. It's a year old. Selena, can you stand up so they can see you, baby? Stand on up. And there she was, you know, with the prettiest girlfriend and trying to date me and trying to keep herself together, Evangelist, and I'm trying to hold myself together and live holy, and then I come over one night and she had a little steak on the oven, had a potato going, First Lady, and had some soft music playing, some rose petals on it. I'm trying to hold myself, I'm trying to keep myself, and then she fixed the bath, had some bubbles in the bath. Yeah, bubbles had roses all around the tub and stuff, and I'm trying to hold myself, I'm trying to keep myself, I'm trying to be righteous, and you know, and I knew it was a catch. I got down in that tub and I'm soaking, and she said, when you gonna give me a ring? I said, you can have this one, I'm gonna leave in this tub when I get out. But she hung in there and dated me and held my hand. Bishop said this morning that God gave him a woman that could protect his heart. And that's exactly what I told my loved when she decided to accept my invitation into matrimony. I was widowed about 6 years ago, and I was walking around life. I was dating these two twin sisters called Grace and Mercy. And I know that when God gives you a woman, right, he gives you a good thing, but I like that second part. I was waiting on my favor to come back. And I didn't relive my favor until I got things right and got a virtuous woman that could stand by my side. I got a short agenda. I won't be before you too long, but I think God has given me some things that will bless you, as this has blessed me and my finances. I'm just a guy that grew up in the projects of Washington, D.C. I joined the Army out of high school, made a lot of mistakes, and I took all those mistakes I made and kind of turned them into a talk that I hope will bless somebody, you know. So I am at Bank of America. I'm not a banker. I'm a community guy. I spend the bank's money out helping veterans and military families as they transition back to civilian life. But in the course of being around all those bankers, I learned a few things I wish I had known earlier. It probably would have gotten me to 7 figures a lot faster than we were able to achieve that. But the first thing that we're going to talk about is is insurance. I'm going to talk about insurance 2 times because there's a spiritual insurance and then there's a worldly insurance. So we're going to talk about insurance. We're going to get into how we're going to direct our dollars and what behaviors we need to have. We're going to talk about credit. Then we're going to get into the second insurance. You know, I'm mindful that Timothy 6:10 says that the love of money is the root, right? Yeah. Of evil. So what I do is I like money a lot. I am going to love it, but I like money a lot, and I'm just going to stay just short of loving it. I don't want to be evil. And normally when I do this, I'm going to need your help. This is a little interactive right now. Is normally I give out a practice test because I want to see what your aptitude level is. But I know everybody here is intelligent enough. But I got to check the box of the practice test. So I'm going to give a simple test just to say that I gave the practice test. Is that all right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a number. You just say the number that comes after that number. And then I can say that I gave the test. And I can move on, okay? So I'm going to start it off. 1,095, 1,097, 1,098, 1,099, 2,000 don't come after that. See, I knew, yeah, 2,000 ain't the next number, so we're going to have to do the long agenda now. Selena told me don't do that to y'all. Don't do it to her. She get it wrong every time. So I'm a student of Franklin Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that teaching, one of the tenets of it is that we learn that we're 3 persons. We're made up of 3 people. We're a public person. That's the person that we bring out the house every day. And then we're a private person. And that's the person that we share with our loved ones. And then we're another person. We're a deep, dark-seated person. And that person is the person that psychiatrists try and interact with. That third person is the person that motive is derived from. And so when we start to talk about our finances, some of the reasons we make mistakes in our money is because that third person ain't right. That third person will tell us. It's said that once a person enters a conversation with you and get to the third person, you don't want to talk to another person that way again. An intimate relationship is formed. If you ever talk to a person that's gone to a psychiatrist that's tapped into the third person, if they find out they're changing psychiatrists, they'll lose their minds. Because there's a relationship that's formed once you tap into that third person. And so the things in life are created 2 times. First, mentally, then in the physical. Mental creation must precede physical creation. So if you want to fix your finances, you got to fix the third person, your heart and your motives. And then you have to fix your mind. We live in scarcity because we have a scarcity mentality. My parents were born in the 1930s, so they went through the Great Depression. They didn't trust banks. My mom said investments were the devil. You're gambling in the stock market, and it's the devil, and that scared me, and I didn't get into the stock market until way too late because I didn't want to be doing what the devil did. So, and that's all we knew. My mother knew to cut a hole in the mattress and stick your money in the hole in the mattress. That's what they did, and didn't believe in credit or any of those things, and took a long time before my parents were able to shake themselves. So it was from that. And so we have to understand that. The first insurance that I want to talk about is the assurance that God gives you when you tithe. The first insurance. You know, when pastors stand up and they talk about the tithe, I like the second part. You know, we know we're going to. He's going to open the windows of heaven. He's going to pour out a blessing that we don't have room enough to receive. And he make men do what? Sow into our bosoms, right? But I like the part about rebuking the devourer. That's my part. Rebuking the devourer. It's way cheaper, a dime, God's asking for a dime.
Come on now.
It is way cheaper to give God back a dime than it is to get that washing machine repair man $400. I'm telling you. My BMW is in the shop right now, and I just got my end of year statement from the church, and I know exactly why my BMW tore up.
Okay.
Whenever I fall short, and it's them splash plays in life where I fall short. It's when somebody bless me, they give me a big ball of money, and I don't give back from that big ball of money. That's the one. That's the one I got to do better at. And so the insurance, the protection that you get in the tithe is extremely, extremely important. And so I believe that the vow is rebuked, and I live it. I am living proof, and when I don't do right, I suffer. Something goes wrong. The washing machine belt breaks. The car breaks down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, refrigerator go out in the storm and all the food spoils. Something goes wrong. And so yeah, there's importance in that. The next thing I want to talk about is directing your dollars. These are the behaviors. And so this is the part where I just wished I had known earlier. How to really tell my money what to do. I shared with Bishop, I found some favor recently with 2 billionaires. And it's a funny thing, if you've ever spent time around billionaires, the first thing they want to do when they like you, they want to make sure you become a millionaire. Yes, I think it's so you're not fighting over the tab and stuff. So that's the first thing they want to do. They want to get you to that status. But in learning and hanging out with these guys, I learned some of the habits that they have. See, we go to work to get some money, and then we buy ourselves some things and do some things with our money as a result of that work. But these folks understand how to give their money a job. Their money goes to work. And that's a big difference. The biggest difference I've seen is that it's a flip of the script as to how they view their dollars, how they view their time, how they share knowledge. They don't share it with everybody. That's not worthy to get the knowledge. So in directing your dollars, 10 cents of your money, 10%, and giving. And what we do, is we live out of a 70% bucket of money. So everything we do is out of the 70%. And then I maintain a 20%, the remaining 20% discretionary. So when I want to show off and, 10 dozen roses or something, I want to impress her, I got some stuff stashed away that I can do that with. You should have multiple accounts, ladies. Yeah, you should have multiple bank accounts, each designed to do what you want it to do. So it should look like this. You should have a checking account. Right? And your main checking account is just handling your bills out of it.
Right.
And then you spin out into a savings or money market account. Now your savings account is to save. It's not to respond to anything, but to be saved. And then you do a vacation or fun account, I call it. I got a fun account. When she's falling roses on the floor, that's out the fun money. And then you have a Christmas account. And the Christmas account, you establish your budget. Let's say we spent $1,200 this year for Christmas. You take $100 a month and you feed the Christmas account. And in December, there's $1,200 there, and that's the budget.
All right.
That's the budget. And then you have an emergency account. The emergency account ensures that you don't go into the savings account. Something I had to teach my baby, like, well, we got the savings for every note. The savings is the savings. And you can commingle you can commingle. I'm fortunate enough to have some money in 401k. We both have some 401ks. So some of that counts as savings. So my 20% that I hold in discretionary is kind of freed up. If not, that some of that, probably 10% more of that would go towards savings. But I don't need to necessarily use it that way. And so your emergency account is so that you can respond to life's emergencies. We have a son in Seattle, Washington, and he had an emergency a few months ago, and I had to go get a plane ticket and get out to Seattle with a day's notice. Of course, you buy a ticket and a day's notice going across the country, it's going to cost you a grip. And because it was there, I didn't feel it because the money was sitting there in the emergency account. And what you do is you manage these accounts at a desired budget level, and then once they hit that cap, you can then start to divert the money you had going into them into your savings account. So if your Christmas account is $1,200, your goal is $1,200, and you don't spend the $1,200, and it gets up to $1,500 or $1,600, you take the extra $300 or $400 and put them over in your savings account. The same with your fund account. You get to a level of fund account, it reaches its budget level, and then you peel off and go into another direction with that. And so 10% goes where? All right, goes out to God, right? We're living out of 70%, and then we have that final 20% that's discretionary. And what I found was that when I started to live that way, I was in position to handle just about anything that life threw at me. Just about anything, and not responding to everybody else's emergencies. Everybody's emergency is not your emergency. Sometimes God got a beating for that person. They need their beating. I've had to get my beating. I think sometimes we got to let them get their beating. So I think it's extremely important that we get to that point in our lives that our behaviors are aligned, and especially us as Black and brown people, we know we need some help there. Now we get into credit. Scary subject for some people, but it's probably one of the best ways that you can improve your lifestyle, but you can also hurt your life. One of the quickest ways to grow or rebuild credit, if you have some bumps in your credit, is with prepaid or secured card. Secured card took me to new limits. I shared it with two of my sons. One listened and the other one didn't. And the craziest thing about this was I met a young couple. They were 22 and 23 years old, pushing a baby carriage, came into a bank, and they were applying for their first home loan. And the husband had a 798 credit score at 23 years old, right out of college. So I asked him, man, how did you get a credit score that high? You're nearly 800. And he said, when I went to college, my parents got a secured card in my name, and instead of sending me money every month, I used the balance of the card, which was $300, and then they just reloaded the card at the end of the month, which built his credit. And I'm looking at him because I had put 3 kids through college, sending them money. And then for them to graduate and ask me for help getting credit, when we had 4 years to build their credit. So that's one of the tendencies, is you want to do that. If your balances exceed 30%, it begins to hurt your credit. So you want to keep your balances between 10 and 30% to run your credit score up. You also want to make 2 payments a month. You want to make one payment at the 15-day mark in the cycle, and then the second payment three days before the end of the cycle. It just kind of tricks the algorithm, lowers the balance, you're ahead of the interest, and your score begins to skyrocket.
What'd you say?
Yes, sir. One of the other things is that I was building a new house some time ago, and I needed like 8 points on my credit in order to get a better rate. And so the mortgage, what do you call the guy that's selling you the house? The realtor, that guy. So my realtor said, hey, Mr. Streeter, why don't you just pay down these 2 credit cards to make your score go up? And so, I had a little change on me. It was strange, but I had some change. And that change was for furniture. And so I called up another buddy of mine that owned the title company. I was telling him about it, about to go and make these payments. He said, you don't have to do that. So what do you mean? He says, hey, call the credit card company and have them raise your limit. So in raising the limit, it took me under the 30% threshold. My score shot up 15 points just from that. So there are little tricks that you can try that'll get you over the limit. So we want to make sure that we don't go over 10 to 30%. Keep a small card that instead of using a debit card for your light bill, run the debit card, run the light bill, the utility bill through that small card. Just put the bill on the card, pay the card off. Then your score will. Some people, I got friends who they'll take a card, secure debit card, in their kid's name and never give it to the kid. They just run their light bill through it every month to establish a credit score for the kid. So some do it that way too. If you got a kid, you all got one, you got one in there that you got to pray for. You may not want to get out in the car. Y'all know which one I'm talking about. Ours is that middle girl we got her. Yeah, that middle girl. And cosign. I'm going to give y'all some help with cosign. Because the Bible actually said don't do it. I didn't know that. I had to find that so I could tell my son no and be holy. It's in Proverbs 22, 26 and 27. So just use the word. Yeah, use the word on it when they're at the dealership calling you. It says that do not be the one who shakes hands in the pledge or puts up security for debt. If you lack the means to pay, your very bed will be snatched from under you. God said He's going to take your whole house from you if you do that. So I don't do any co-signing. My co-signing is helping them to establish their credit. I'd much rather take on the entire car note in my own name than to put in the co-sign. Yeah. And there's some money wasters out there that we got to be mindful of. One is those duplicate or reoccurring subscriptions. I had 2 Netflix accounts. I didn't even know I had. Yeah, I knew I had 1, but I had 2. I was paying for 2. So you got to look through your account, and now they got these apps. You can ask the app to find any duplicate charges, and you'll see reoccurring prescriptions, and you'll see all the prescriptions you got out there. There are clubs and memberships coming out your money. You don't even realize they're coming out. Magazine subscriptions are out there. They don't even send the book no more. They're sending you a link to your phone. It's going in your junk mail now, and you're still paying for it. Clubs and memberships, there are excessive cable packages. They always mix your channel in with these other channels you don't really want. And you got to buy all them other channels just to see your channel. You get what you want. I'm tired of all that cable too. I'm sitting around, I got to hold her hand and rub her feet, look at them movies and act like I'm sad with them people. That's another story. Look at the cable bill. Some of that cloud storage in those apps, you gotta watch that stuff too. Them apps and that cloud stuff. One of the things they talk about are brand named medicines, especially over-the-counter stuff. You look at the back, it's the same ingredient, the same amount, it's the same levels of stuff. That stuff's regulated. So you're buying a brand name, and you could probably get the Walmart brand, and it's the same medicine. It costs you about half the amount. So you want to look at the brand names behind that. Some of the foods that are that way. I don't grow up in the projects. I don't have to have Del Monte stuff. She like them green labels. I'm like, babe, get the plain black and white label. It also works for cleaning supplies as well. Your cleaning supplies are generic. And one of the other things is late fees. You got to be careful of your late fees. Some banks will actually hold a payment to make other payments bounce and mess up, which is totally illegal to do. Kind of off script, I mentioned to Bishop this morning in the work that I do that I work with homeless, helping homeless veterans is one of my remits in my job. And I was in a meeting a couple of years ago down in Jacksonville, Florida, and they brought to my attention that 35 to 40% of homeless people are women. And then 10% of our homeless veteran population are women. So typically, in a census, when you get a number, once you hit 8% of a population, you can actually see that 8% of whatever that population is. So if you live in a city and it's 8% Asian, you can actually see an Asian or two. It takes about 8% before you can see them. Under 8%, you may not ever even know that they're there because it's just not enough representation. So when I heard the number 10% and 35%, I raised my hand and I said, hey, when I see homeless people, I see people under the bridge, and I see these men, I never hardly see women. And if I do, it's maybe one. And they said, that's because they exchange their bodies for a bed somewhere. They're not on the streets because a lady wants to be clean, wants to have access to personal hygiene systems and apparatuses, and so you won't see them outside. And so I was really saddened by that, to know that that's what's going on. So I know some of you work in the homeless field, and you want to evangelize and spread the word that way. But just keep in mind that a lot of our women are actually in these houses around here. They'll find an old guy on a fixed income, and he's by himself, or he'll find her, I should say. And there's a lot of exploitation going on that way that we need to be mindful of, and that's one of the things that I'm fighting for as well. You know, as I hasten into a close, I was talking to my mother about an hour ago, and we were talking about the number of prophecies that Jesus fulfilled, and I shared with my mother. You know, I'm blessed by the story of the woman with the issue of blood. It really blesses me that God blesses that press that she was in, right? But you know what, Bishop, what I didn't understand, I told my mother, I had a revelation a little while ago. I didn't understand that was a fulfillment of prophecy too, because if you go back into Malachi 4:2, Malachi talks about him coming and bringing healing. And so what we found was that, evangelist, was that this lady had read the Old Testament while she was looking at the New Testament. So her press, and the reason that Jesus was able to feel and turn was because he knew that tug was coming from a place of faith. He knew that she had been in her word. So I always thought he felt energy leave his body. No, she tugged him. He go, oh yeah, that's what he was waiting on the tug. So he can fulfill another one of the prophecies. So I'm always blessed by what God does through our women that blesses all of us. That always blesses, that's a takeaway for me. You know, God delivered his word in the flesh through a woman. and at the point that Jesus was resurrected, the first person to see him
Come on now.
was a lady.
Yeah.
So I'm always excited when I get a chance to be around women. I think that if any man is worth his weight, he would hand his finances over to a woman and let her manage it for him. I don't think anybody manages money better than a lady does. But I want to talk about the second insurance as I leave. And the second insurance, look, I done messed up with Bishop. He ain't giving his money over. The second insurance is the insurance that we know about, that we're familiar with, and that's your life insurance. So a few years ago, I was with a Jewish buddy of mine, and we were hanging out. I got a text message. Had a death in the family, and they were putting a GoFundMe together and everything. And I turned to him. I showed him my phone, and I said, "Hey, man, family's trying to raise some money. We had a death in the family. Y'all, this happens in your family, everybody's family. I'm thinking everybody's family goes through this." And he said, "No, this don't happen in our family." And I said, "What?" He says, "No. So what we do, or what we have, is a family trust. And every birth, every newborn baby gets $1 million life insurance policy. That the beneficiary is the trust, and the payments are made by the trust. So ain't no missed payments happening. And so when there's a death, the trust gets $1 million, and the funeral expenses are taken care of, and that's how that family grows and sustains wealth." And so I thought it was a huge takeaway for us as a people. We argue and fight. We just dealt with a couple of deaths, and you have a $10,000 policy, and we want to act all crazy. Who's getting it and all this stuff, and why'd you get it knowing she was sick and all this other mess, and we got to do better in understanding. We know we're going to leave here. This is our temporary home, and we don't need to leave here and leave debt on our family members, or put our family members into a situation where there's a bunch of confusion. And I don't believe God wanted us to do that. But there are mechanisms in place, and if you buy an insurance policy early, it doesn't cost you anything hardly. And you just probably have to bite the bullet on the first one to get it started out of pocket. But after that, that policy pays for the next policy, and you're off and running from there. And so what I'm leaving with the group here, you ladies, is there's and it's in your, I think Mr. Pope said he put it inside your emails. There's a product called Better Money Habits that Bank of America produces. And there are about 13 modules in it that address any financial situation that you might be in or approaching. So if you're wanting to buy a car, a new home, if you're getting married, you have a life event coming up, there's a module that helps you to navigate that particular event. And so, and it's free. You don't have to be a client or customer at Bank of America. You just hit the site, and it's easy to follow, and the modules have little videos, and they're kind of step by step, but it'll bless you nevertheless. Bishop, thank you again, sir, for allowing me the chance to come down here and address your precious flock, and just taking the time this morning to break bread with me and to share your beautiful wife with my wife was really something I'll remember forever. I'm hopeful that I've left something with you today that'll bless you and make things better for you. Y'all take care, ladies.